Welcome to the Connected Leaders Academy virtual conference designed to reshape your vision of transformation. As we navigate the evolving business landscape, our speakers will unveil innovative strategies to manage and initiate change. Prepare to adapt, innovate, and lead, ensuring your role as a catalyst in this transformative era.
Hello. What is this? What do you think it represents? This actually represents your entire life savings, the whole enchilada, everything you put away towards retirement. But things are changing, and the government is going to want its share. So taxes are going to want its share. And then we're going to have inflation. And now we're going to deal with the largest expense you're going to have in retirement, which is healthcare. And you're left with this. And then the kids come home early and they want their share now. And this little bit has to last you 30 years. So my job is to recreate and unfold and untear and change the rips to return it to this. Not a bad way, but a good way to do your retirement. So hello, my name is Bill Walters, and I am the CEO and founder of Perfectly Imperfect Families. And how I got started, my family members, my aunt, my uncle, and my mom were all accountants. So naturally, I went to school to become an accountant. And I went to Drexel to get my master's, and I'm on my first co-op, and I didn't like it because it was just numbers and not people. And I said, what can I do where I interact with people and make a difference, but not just be numbers? So I became a financial professional. Now, my story doesn't stop and start there. When my mom was about 6 years left in her life, my dad was on his deathbed, and he reached across in his Navy way and grabbed my forearm and said, "Take care of Mom." And I said, "Yeah, Dad, I got this." And then he really grabbed me in his Navy way and said, "Take care of Mom." And I said, "Yeah, I heard you the first time." And I did not know what that meant. So the next 6 years upon his passing, Mom plopped herself on the couch, and it was my responsibility. I was her long-term care plan. And I learned a lot. I learned about medicine distribution. I learned about removing fall risk. I learned about putting up handrails, lift rails, going on doctor's appointments, setting up senior classes for fun, getting home care assistance in the house, worried about, am I doing the right thing? Getting up in the middle of the night to make sure she can get to the bathroom without falling. And all these lessons and mistakes I made out of love can be reduced to a 15-minute conversation for people just like you. So I've had my own perfectly imperfect families, and I want to share the lessons I learned with you. Now, a lot of people want to know what's going on for the 2026 because, well, first of all, taxes are going up by 8%. But in March, we're going to have a stock market crash, and it could be significant. It's really going to affect the outcome of your savings and your future. So why suffer when you can plan around it? Now, a lot of people have come up and asked, Bill, what can someone do if they're not a great saver, or if they don't have savings and they're living paycheck to paycheck? And the solution is simple. We reorganize, we restructure your mindset around what works and how to save so you're saving smartly. Because it's not how much you save, it's where you save it. And there's 3 types of game plans heading into retirement. The first one is called tax-free retirement, in where you set aside money, even in a lump sum or multiple lump sums, or on a monthly payment basis, depending on your age. And the money accumulates income tax-free, and it's not called a Roth. And the best part about this is it does not have direct stock market risk and exposure, so you never lose money. The second part is called tax-deferred savings, in which you have an old 401k. So if you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, someone who's just left corporate America, and you want to double that savings in 10 years without taking on any market risk, I can teach you how to do that. And the third type, and probably the most important type, is how to teach your business, if you're a business owner, how to take out money to protect your nest egg so that when you exit this business, you have a game plan or a soft pillow to live on. Now, I'm not your typical financial advisor. I am not your typical financial professional. I'm someone who actually cares and has a big heart. For instance, my client Ralph, he was a roofer. He was around age 51, and I came to his house, and he didn't operate under a computer. He was a handshake type of guy. So we were old school. So I went to his house, and him and his wife sat down with me, and they wanted to do a $2 million term policy. Now, I said, okay, why did you want to do this? And she said he wanted to take care of his wife. So I was coming in with the paperwork because he didn't like computers. He wanted ink and pen. So I came in on a Friday night, and he says, we can't do it today. The refrigerator broke down, and I have to replace the refrigerator. And he didn't have a backup in his garage. So I said, okay, when is next payday? And he said, next Friday. And I came in next Friday, and his wife is sitting there sobbing. And I said, what's going on? She said, I'm the proud owner of a $2 million refrigerator. And I said, what do you mean? He said, Ralphie was on the roof today, and he slipped and fell, and he passed. And she said, I want you to use this story to tell people that, I made a mistake by not acting for today, and now I own a $2 million refrigerator. Now, not everything is all clean cut like that, but when you save and you set some money aside, it's for your own best interest. So I have some questions for you. Are you saving enough? Do you know what saving actually should look like? Do you have a proven game track record that you do for accounting that enables you to set aside pre-existing savings? Do you want to pay taxes in retirement, or would you like to eliminate taxes in retirement? How about vacations? Are they an option in retirement? Do you want to work at Walmart as a greeter because you didn't game plan correctly? These are great questions that need to get answered on a one-on-one session. But let me tell you a story about someone else you probably already know. James Gandolfini, you know him as the actor from The Sopranos. And his estate was worth roughly $40 million, give or take. And he's away, and he's on vacation in Italy, and he passes away of a heart attack. And here's the point. He didn't have a will, a trust, an estate plan. And so his monies was held up in the court system for close to a year, and $8 million went to the lawyers. And his wife, who he's married to, only got roughly around $12 million. When if it was done correctly, planned out with an estate plan, it would have never gone through the public, and it would have gone through the proper channels. So I always say to plan ahead, that estate planning is not just for the rich, it's for everyone. Another person that will come to mind is Prince. Prince, in his vault, he had 400 songs never published. His estate was worth approximately $168 million. And upon his passing, with no will or trust, he had two different families arguing for the same amount of money. And $16 million later was ruled that one family would get that money, but $16 million in 2 years were wasted out of the estate plan because there was no game plan. So why am I mentioning this? Because it's important to A, have a game plan, B, get it in writing, and C, to allow yourself to work towards a goal and allow your money to work for you. Now, I am a person of faith and belief, and I'm just going to recite something from Psalm 23. Now, Psalm 23 is when they talk about walking in the valley of darkness. And if you notice, the shepherd has a staff, and that shepherd staff is curved on the top. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is because shepherd takes care of sheep. And when a sheep goes for drinking of water, they're not very intelligent. No judgment, but they're not. And they stick their whole head in the water. And what ends up happening some of the time is that they eventually get drug into the water because of the weight of the water on their wool. And the reason why the shepherd's staff is hooked is so when they start floating downstream, the shepherd reaches across and pulls the sheep in by the staff and saves them. So I say to you this: when you're doing financial planning and you're working as a faith-based individual, how much further will God's arm reach to protect you, to save you? Because he's not limited by his staff. So when you put your trust in him and you put your trust in someone who has a good reputation, that's financially sound and wise with their investment choices, that protects your interest, not theirs, it leads to what is inevitably a great situation. Now, the next part I want to discuss is mindset. You hear all these stories about people winning money and blowing through it because their mind wasn't in the right place. Your mindset should be on a positivity and abundance, figuring out what is in alignment and following the practices and patterns that are best for your long-term growth. So you move your mindset out of fear and lack into love and kindness. And by doing so, it enables you to receive and put out positivity and positive frequencies. So you attract like-minded individuals who have an open heart and an open mind for success. Again, the key things to keep in mind: am I saving enough? Do I know what enough is? Can I practice tax-free retirement savings? Will I be able to not outlive my income in retirement? Do I have a game plan? I ask you to consider that. Take 5 minutes, do a Ben Franklin chart, and if you don't know what that is, kindly contact me at www.perfectlyimperfectfamilies. That's PERFECTLY, imperfect, IMPERFECT, families, FAMILIES.com. I'm more than happy to walk you through a game plan so you have something to follow where it's your goals, your dreams, and your desires. And I create that roadmap to get you there. Keep in mind, our landscape is going to change in the next 30 days, where our taxes are going to go up by 30% in some areas if you're a high earner, and as little as 8%. Keep in mind that the stock market should and will crash in March. All indications are saying so. You do not have to get that loss. Be prepared, speak to a professional to eliminate your exposure to those potential losses, and when the market course corrects, you course correct with it. I wish you prosperity, abundance, and a positive mindset for the following year. I want you to keep continuing with your committed lifestyle to health, vitality, and strength. Now, I would like to share a few more things about people that I helped inspire that are good stories. And those stories are, I met someone who adopted 3 children who were on the spectrum. And this person had no business plan. And I asked them what they like to do, and they like to build sheds. And those sheds were built out of scrap. So they were able to take sheds, build them out of scrap, and make a profit in order to put food on the table. I helped them do a business plan and propose this to a bank. And as in the process of proposing to a bank, They were able to generate enough savings and through a loan to sell 6 of these sheds, and each shed made them a profit of approximately $2,000. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when you're living paycheck to paycheck as a forklift operator, that extra $12,000 a year in year one enabled them to put food on the table. I consider that a great accomplishment. Another person was a mechanic in the state of Pennsylvania, and they saved all their life, everything. And they did not have a game plan. They just had a big 401k. And they knew that they couldn't retire at age 65, but didn't know what to do. And so he reached out to me after hearing me speak on one of my webinars, and he said, "What can I do?" And I showed him a way in which in just 10 years, he could take his savings and double it and pull out money from it as soon as age 67 to cover his daily and monthly living expenses. And because we're doubling his money as he's pulling out this to offset his family expenses, he was enabling himself to A, not have to work into his late 70s, and B, still go on vacations and provide for his family as a main wage earner. These short little wins helped create a financial windfall for someone who really didn't have a game plan for retirement, except that he saved, and he was smart enough to do so. I have another client who is on the spectrum and is a great writer and an author and is writing a memoir that's going to be published in the movies. And she wanted to separate herself from her family in caretaking and didn't know how to do it. And the first step was to get a special needs trust so that she could have savings that comes into her from the sales of her books and the movie rights into the special needs trust so she would not lose her medical benefits as well as her disability income. And she was then going to set up a nonprofit to help other families like herself. I told her it would take 18 months. 18 months to the day, she called me on the phone, told me what she had done and accomplished, and we were ready to start her game plan. So whatever money she earned can be put into that trust so that she would have her daily living expenses covered after 10 years. So it was going to be 10 years of savings in order to cover her expenses for the next 30. Without a professional there to make a difference, she would have struggled and probably have lost her medical benefits, and she would not have a place to live without a game plan. I can go on with countless other activities that I do to help people, and examples of excellence. I met someone who was just 50 years old, and they didn't have a game plan for retirement. They were in debt, $30,000 in credit cards. I have no judgment because it's not how much you save, it's where you save it, right? This was 3 years ago. It took them 18 months to get out of credit card debt. From that point forward, we set a game plan to set aside $500 a month for the next 18 years in order to create that retirement nest egg that would grow income tax free. And that little bit of nest egg combined with the person's 401k, they don't have to work as a greeter at Walmart. It's just a matter of game planning and working with the individual. I can go on with other stories where you commit to health and vitality through a positive mindset. Each approach is unique and different. I have a family that has 2 children that are on the spectrum, and they have Angelman syndrome. Angelman syndrome is just simply the children mind does not grow beyond the age of 3, and they like bubbles and they like swimming, but they're never going to be able to work. And both parents are professionals, but they didn't know how to set up a special needs trust nor how to fund it. It took about 6 meetings plus the introduction to a special needs attorney to create that opportunity. And when they were done, they were thankful and grateful. When they got their big Christmas bonus, They wanted to know what to do with it. And this year they had a game plan because it was set up. So why do I share these positive stories? Because each situation is unique. Each situation is perfect and imperfect at the same time, because no two situations are the same. I like to keep people focused on moving forward and thinking outside the box. Another example that I have is I have a small business owner that runs a bagel shop. He has 4 kids. He's 29. And he didn't have a game plan for him and his wife, but they knew they couldn't save in the immediate moment because they just bought a business and they just started out. I introduced them to a way to procure their raw material needs at a lesser expense. We lowered their essential services expenses by 30 to 70%. I found a healthcare plan that saved them 70% over what they were paying. And on top of that, we created a way that they could take money off a single transaction, every transaction, and put it into a separate fund and save it and accumulate that fund. And that would then be their future nest egg. And at the end of the year, whatever was saved would be put into one giant lump sum contribution for their business account. On paper, their business was losing money, but in reality, it was making money because they were protected. And yes, this is 100% legit and legal. There's many ways, if you have a creative accountant and a creative financial advisor, where you can combine 2 minds to come up with a great solution to make your business prosper in the future. So what have we learned today? We learned that with a positive mindset, where you attract positive people through the frequencies of life, good things come to you. That if you believe in God, that he can protect you, his arm's longer than that of a staff. We learned that if you trust an advisor, that he can create a game plan that's unique and original that works for you. We learned today that 2026 might not be a great year, but you don't have to be caught watching the gateposts swing by. You can take action in advance to prevent those losses in the future. We learned that people who didn't plan in advance had their struggles. And we learned that if you do plan for the future and you have a game plan, anything is possible. So I want to thank you again for taking time out of your day to listen to me. I wish you blessings during this holiday season and success and abundance in the future. I thank you also for just being you and showing up as yourself. So thanks once again. Thank you to Jose Escobar and his wonderful group for this opportunity, and peace, love, and abundance for 2026. Let's all manifest. Thank you so much.
Thank you for participating in today's enlightening session. As we transition to our next expert, remember that each strategy and insight is a step toward becoming a transformative leader in your field. Visit connectedleadersacademy.com to stay engaged and informed. The journey of change is ongoing. Let's move forward together.